Hello, everybody, and welcome to our call today. Today, we're going to be talking about your most recent book, film, or series. Everybody, and let's turn that off. And so today, we're going to talk about a book that you have read recently, a movie or film that you've watched recently, or a series, TV series, or maybe a documentary series that you have watched recently. And why is this important? Well, it's important because everybody's learning something new, and the new knowledge and new information that you put into your head helps you when you meet other people, when you go into the world, and it changes how you think about the world, right? So I'm excited to hear about the books and films and series that you read and watch, and the ones that you have read or watched recently. So one thing that we're going to talk about is, of course, when we talk about something that has happened recently, we usually use present perfect in English, right? Present perfect. And present perfect is used in a few different situations, right? We can use it to talk about something that happened in the past, but it's true now. And when we do this, sometimes it's confusing to know the difference between present perfect and past simple, because the thing that we're talking about happened in the past. So what is the difference between past simple and present perfect? In past simple, we just say that something happened in the past. It's just in the past. We usually say that it happened at a specific time in the past. So anytime that you say a phrase like yesterday, 2 weeks ago, last year, these are finished time periods, and that's past simple. It's an easy way to remember. If you use a phrase that shows that something is in the past, shows an exact time in the past that's finished, that's past simple. So it's never correct to say last year I have. No, we don't say that, because it's past simple. It happened in the past. That past moment is finished. When we use present perfect, we don't say those phrases because we're speaking about the past thing in a general way. Because one thing that we use present perfect for is experience. So I can say, I have been to Mexico. This is my experience. It happened in the past, but it's still true now, or it happened in the past and it's important now about what we're speaking about. But if I said, in December, I went to Mexico, or in December, I was in Mexico, we need to use past simple for that, because I said in December, and December is in the past. So if I said 3 months ago, I went to Mexico, I have to say went, not I have been to Mexico, but I went, because 3 months ago is completely finished. But if I speak in general about my experience, yes, in my life, I have been to Mexico. And, or I might say in the last 12 months. Now, the last 12 months, this includes right now, right? It starts in the past, but it's connected to now. So if I say in the last 12 months, then that connects the past starting point 12 months ago. It connects that to now, the present moment. And so that is present perfect. And that is what present perfect does. It connects something from the past to now. So in the last 12 months, I have been to Mexico. But 3 months ago, completely finished, I went to Mexico. Another reason that we use present perfect is to talk about something that finished recently, not long ago. recently. And this is where a lot of people are confused about present perfect. There's a good reason why they get confused, because in British English and in American English, people usually speak differently about this situation, about things that happened recently, things that finished not long ago. The classic example from English textbooks, they show a person cutting some vegetables, and the person cuts their finger. Ow! And the British English speaker says, "I've just cut my finger." But the American English speaker says, "Ow, I cut my finger." So when we talk about something that finished recently, American English speakers usually use past simple, but British English speakers usually use present perfect. And that's very confusing. But this is the only situation where this happens. If we're talking about experience, if we're connecting some past moment to the present, British English, American English, it's the same. You have to use present perfect. You have to use present perfect for this situation. So the only situation that's a little different is when something happened recently. And that's what we're talking about today. So I try to use present perfect in this situation. And usually, anyways, we're going to use present perfect in this situation, but some American English speakers will use past simple for this situation, something that has happened recently. And so sometimes you'll hear me switch because I automatically am using American English. But I think it's clearer to use present perfect for this situation. So I might ask you, or I might say, we're talking about films you have watched recently, but sometimes I might say films you watched recently, right? So let's try to use present perfect today. But you should know that sometimes American English speakers use past simple for this situation only about recent, something that happened recently, something that finished recently. So let's talk about books first. Books that you have read recently, or books that you read recently. So books that you have read recently. I'll show you one that I have been reading. Now, in this situation, I said I have been reading because I'm not finished. It's in the process, right? So this is a book that I have been reading recently. It's called Sell Like Crazy. And it's written by a man from Australia. It's about finding clients for your business and how to have a great product for your clients. And starting is finished. I started reading it 2 weeks ago. So I have been reading it for 2 weeks. I started reading it 2 weeks ago. I have been reading it until now for 2 weeks. I'm not finished, but I have recently started reading it. I have started reading it, right? Starting happened not long ago. And it's not finished. It's still continuing till now. So you see, I can say I started reading it 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago is finished. If I don't say 2 weeks ago, I can say I have recently started reading it. It's not an exact time. Recently is not 100% finished, right? But started and 2 weeks ago, that's finished. Okay, so Vlad, how are you today?
Hi, Chris.
Welcome
I'm
back.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Okay.
So, have
Thank you.
you started reading any books recently?
Recently, um, recently, I have not started to read a book. I already finished to read. The last book was Milka Waltari, the Egyptian. Um,
Egyptian?
yeah. It's about a doctor, Egyptian. Uh, I don't know how to describe, but it's a very interesting book. Generally, I read a lot of book for
A lot of books?
pers a lot of books for personal development,
Mhm.
and I also need to learn the latest discoveries in veterinary medicine. Um,
So,
yeah,
is this doctor a veterinarian?
yeah, and I have to be in the uh, to to know uh, all about the
Mhm. The latest discoveries?
latest discoveries. Yeah,
Uh-huh. That's great. I think books are a good way to develop yourself.
yeah. It's about Dr. Joe Dispenza. I have read
Have read?
have read all his books. Um, I think uh, it's a very interesting writer.
How many books has this author written?
Uh, Sorry,
How many books has this person written?
at least 10 books. Uh, I read only 10, but I think he have many
He has
many
many books,
has many books.
but you have
More many.
read
I
10,
have read only 10 books
only 10 of his books.
of his books. Yeah, only
Okay.
10 of his books.
Only 10. Oh, I think 10 books is a
It's
lot.
yeah, it's easy to read his book
His
because
books.
they are very interesting, and you prefer to don't uh, um, uh, uh, doing other things and to stay and read to finish
Yeah.
the book.
We
Yeah,
sometimes we say, I can't put it down, the
yeah,
book.
yeah.
It's so good that I can't put it down.
I can put it down. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. I think it's really important to find authors, writers that uh, get you interested in the topic.
Yeah, that are resonate with uh, your mind, with your style.
That's the perfect word, resonate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you a lot.
So this reminds me of another situation when we have to use present perfect, and uh, this is about famous people or successful people who have done something many times. And the example that some English books give us is maybe you know two film directors of movies and films. One is Quentin Tarantino, Maybe you know this name, Tarantino, famous film director. And another man is Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock, he made some films, but a long, long time ago, but they're classics, right? And so Hitchcock is not alive today. He's dead. But Tarantino is alive today. And so another situation when we use present perfect or past simple is to show that this person is still alive. It's not, it doesn't really show that they are still alive. It shows that maybe this thing can happen again. So for example, I'm alive, and that's why I can say, or you can say, Chris has been to Mexico. But if I'm dead, if I'm not alive, then you will say, oh, I remember Chris. Chris went to Mexico. Because it cannot happen again. My experience is finished. So with Hitchcock and Tarantino, Tarantino is alive, Hitchcock is not. So we can say Alfred Hitchcock directed many films. Past simple. He will never direct a film again because he's not alive. But Quentin Tarantino has directed many films. He's alive. It can happen again. So we use present perfect. But again, this is in general, right? We don't have a specific time. We don't have a concrete time in the past. If we said last year, well, now we need to use past simple. Last year, Tarantino directed a film, right? But if we speak in general, all experience connected to now, Quentin Tarantino has directed many films. Great. Nirvana, welcome.
Hello.
You're on my screen, and then you're on a screen on my screen.
It's a movie theater.
It's perfect for our lesson today, isn't it?
Yes.
But let's start with books. Have you read
Okay.
any books recently, or have you started reading any books recently?
When recently, not.
No, recently, no.
I have some phases of reading.
Mhm.
Sometimes I reading one book after other, and
One book after another.
sometimes I don't read any books. Yeah, and now I'm in this phase. Don't read any books.
You're in the phase of not reading any books?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, when was the last time that you read a book?
I don't know exactly, but last year in some month of the last year, but I don't know exactly.
And do you remember what book it was?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Maybe you remember what it was about.
It was I don't know exactly, but was spiritual reading.
Spiritual reading or writing?
Reading.
Reading. Okay.
Yeah.
So was it a good book, or maybe you don't remember it because because it wasn't so good?
I don't remember what was the last book that I read, but I started read a book that everyone said that everyone liked it so much,
And they
and
recommended it?
sorry,
They recommended the book to you?
yeah, they tell the story of the book, and I felt that I would like the story, but I read it
I read it.
read it
Mhm.
sorry,
Yes, I read it.
I read it a part of the book, and I I realized that I was only reading, but I wasn't understanding the story, so I stopped the reading.
Mm-hmm. Didn't understand the story.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Great. Thanks, Nirvana.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about two words, story and history, right? Sometimes it's confusing because in English we have these two different words. And so in English, it's a clear difference between these two words. History, this is real things that happened in the past. This is a subject that you learn at school. For example, history, the history of your country. For example, the history of the Roman Empire, something like this. But story is something that you tell other people. And maybe it's true, and maybe it's about the past, but it's not facts that everybody learns. History, this is facts that everybody learns, right? When you learn about World War II, that's history. But a person who lived in World War II can tell you their story, their experience, what they remember. Yeah, great. All right. Let's talk a little bit about films, movies, or maybe TV shows or TV series. Have you seen any, or have you watched any good films, movies, TV series, TV shows recently? Edson, what about you? I think I saw you here with us a few minutes ago. There you are. Hey, Edson.
Yes. Hi, teacher.
How are you today?
I'm great, teacher.
I'm glad to hear that. Coming to
Okay.
us live from Angola, right?
Sorry?
You're in Angola right now.
Exactly. I'm in Angola now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. So, have you watched any films or TV shows recently?
I watched some series. Resigned Survivor.
Night Survivor.
Resigned Survivor. I think that is one series that tell us about let's us know about how the government from USA are built when sometimes the administration have attacked. Tell about the conspiration, about a lot of challenge that the president have to face in when he is leading a country.
Wow.
Yes, it's a political. It's something like political series. Yes.
Sounds interesting. It sounds like something I might watch.
Resigned Survivor. I think that I didn't know, but when there are any meeting, all the staff of administration, when they meeting, must be one of them that have to stay out. If anything happened, this guy would be the president. That
Right.
was the beginning of the story.
Wow.
Yes, was the beginning of the story.
Resident Survivor.
Yes, Survivor.
Cool.
Yes.
I think I'll watch it when we're finished.
Sorry.
I think I'll watch it tonight.
Yes, I like it. It was a good story. Good stories. It's let me know how things going on when you are inside of administration, how the conspiration run in the administration. Yes, I love it.
So where did you watch it?
In Netflix. Where? What
Where?
platform?
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix, yes. Netflix.
Cool.
Yes.
So is
Netflix.
this a documentary?
Not a documentary. I think that is not a documentary.
But it's real events with real people.
Not. Yes, it's real people. Yes.
Not actors.
No. I think that there are actors to interpret the president have to be one actor. To interpret the secretary have to be an actor. Yes.
Okay,
There
it's with actors.
Yes, with
Okay.
actor. Yes, with actor. It was a good stories.
A good story.
Yes, good story.
Cool. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, teacher.
No. Did you want to say something else?
Yes, I sometimes I used to watch this kind of series or this kind of films, and help me to sometimes first I now, for example, I'm trying watching in English, because when I watch it was in my native language, and then if I want, it's easier to watch if I like this kind of history, is easier to watch in English, because sometimes I try to read a book in English. It's so hard for me, and in the second pages I'm already tired, and I'm not able to keep on. But this kind of history, this kind of film, help me to watch in English. It's beautiful.
This kind of stories.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for telling, and thanks for the recommendation. I'll watch it tonight.
Okay, teacher. Okay, teacher.
All right, Gigi, what about you? have you watched any interesting films or TV shows recently?
Hi, Chris. Yes, I have been watching one series from Brazil. I'm watching on Netflix. It's the title is "Where Is My Heart?"
Where Is My Heart?
Yeah, but they talk about one family, that successful family. Father is doctor, mother is a business woman, and one daughter, she become doctor as well, and yeah, got married, and one day they went to one party and they try that drugs they call
Uh-oh.
crack.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and after that she become addicted, and it's so hard for me watch this series because it's a reality.
It's
No?
real.
Yeah, it's real. It's happened every single day in our society, because I think people nowadays, they have one hole inside and they don't know what they want, no? Because it's a terrible, this drug, I think, is the worst drug that we have nowadays. And yeah, and I have been watching, I didn't finish yet because it's too hard to see how can one person can destroy their life, because after that the hospital fight her because fire her because they discovered that she become addicted, and a lot
So
of
she lost her job.
lost her job, and a lot of problem involved that situation. And yeah, because do you know, it's drugs is something that one person can try and everything's okay, but when you try you can become addicted, because it's life, and it's difficult to see, because this crack is terrible, terrible. People, I think all the time that people become a zombie when they become addict of crack, because
Yeah.
in Brazil there are a lot of places that they stay together, they live together, and they work like a zombie.
Yeah, we
So-
call it a crack house.
Crack house, yeah, they don't realize anything, and
Yeah, even your dog is saying, "Don't do that. Don't do that."
yeah, and my dog sits there, she loves barking. I don't know why she loves. Sorry.
No, I think he's just trying to join the conversation. He's saying, yeah, don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
All the kids who are watching on YouTube, don't do that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Gigi brought up these words that are important when we talk about drugs and some different, we call them substances, different chemicals. In English, we say substances. It's drugs and other things. And so this is important. Like, there are some words about this that are important to know, like a person who can't stop. They are an addict, or you might say a drug addict, with a stress on the first letter, addict. But there's an adjective, addicted, on the second syllable, addicted. So we can say she is addicted to drugs. She's addicted to drugs, in this case, crack. Sometimes in songs or in films, you might hear this phrase, about love, they'll say, I'm addicted to you. It means that I can't stop loving you, or I can't stop seeing you, right? Sometimes people will use the same word about this. So it's not only about drugs, but it's about, it can be about cigarettes, or it can be about alcohol, right? It can be about a lot of things. Addicted to the internet. Maybe some of us are addicted to the internet. So, and it doesn't always have to be bad, right? Addicted to love. You can also, maybe you are addicted to learning. Maybe you're addicted to learning. That's good, I think. And Vlad wrote, addicted to sugar. Yeah, addicted to sugar. Maybe that's about me. I have a sweet tooth. A person who eats a lot of sweet things or likes eating a lot of chocolates or something, we can say he has a sweet tooth. So I can say that about myself. I have a sweet tooth. I like sweets. Great. That's really interesting. Let's go to Hend. Hi, Hend.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good. Good to see you here.
Thank you, Chris.
So have you watched any interesting films or TV shows recently?
Yeah, it's series. Yeah. The most series I've watched is Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Game of Thrones. Okay.
yeah, you know it.
Yeah, I've watched it too.
Yeah, it's the most series I've watched. Yeah, it was about a war between seven kingdoms over the thrones.
Mhm.
Yeah, and how do they kill each other for the thrones and destroy uh, cities for the sake of the throne. I think it's a fantasy series, yeah,
Yeah.
but is represents the reality now, how many countries are fighting for power.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it's uh, perfect or fantastic series.
Yeah, it's a fantasy
Yeah,
series.
fantasy series. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Like, sometimes it's confusing, the two words, right? Fantasy and fantastic. So fantasy is
Yeah.
about something that's not real,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and fantastic means
Perfect.
very good, like
Very
great.
good. Yeah. Yes.
So it's a fantasy series, and you think it's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. Both.
It's a fantastic fantasy series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember watching it in the beginning of the series. I couldn't stop watching. It was so good. And then in the middle, I felt it was a little slow. And so I stopped, and then I watched it again. And then the last episode, I was so
like
disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like me. There is now a new part of House of the Dragon. It's yeah, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Is this about what was the character's Khaleesi? Is this about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Part of it's a complement the series. Yeah. It's about what is Khaleesi of I don't know what's it's called
The Dragon Princess.
Dragon. Yeah, Dragon Princess. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Very cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people have seen this. Thanks, Hend.
Thank you, Chris.
So this reminds me of another. Sometimes there's a very popular film or series, and it becomes part of the culture, right? Everybody sees it, everybody talks about it, and then you can just say the name of this thing or character you can say the name of the film or TV show, or you can say the name of the main character, and people will know what you're talking about, and everybody knows about this. Can you think of any TV shows or films like this? One that comes to mind for me is Squid Game. This was a Korean it was a series. It was like a film, but it was a series of episodes, short series. And this was very popular when it came out, and lots of people were talking about it. Have any of you seen this? Hend, yeah, you've seen Squid Game?
Yeah, I watched it. It's a good series.
What did
It's
you think about it?
Yeah, it's about fighting, yes, between people for money.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good series. Yeah, I recommend it for watch.
You know, when I heard lots of people talking about it, and I kept thinking, I probably don't want to watch that. I'm not going to watch that. And then I was on vacation, and I thought, you know what? I'll just watch the first episode today, and that was a big mistake, because after watching the first one, it was like a drug. You just couldn't stop.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun series. Yeah, it's a
But
Korean series, I think.
yeah, Korean.
Korean. Yeah.
But I think it's dangerous too
Mhm.
for children or teenagers to watch this.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think? They might repeat it.
Yeah. Because maybe uh, they can imitate.
Imitate, yeah.
Imitate. Yeah. Imitate them. Yeah. Because it's all the series about fighting and kill
Killing.
each other. Yeah. Killing each
Yeah.
other. Yeah. For money. Yeah.
It's very real to adults, but I think it's dangerous for children to watch it.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Hend.
Okay.
Amal. Hi. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. What about you?
Great. Great. Thanks for being here. So, can you tell us about a book that you have recently read, or a film or TV show that you have recently watched?
Okay. Really, I love reading more than watching TV or movies. I like the visualization which read make to you. You have to use your brain to imagine everything, the characters, the places. I love this situation. But nowadays, I used to watch some movies or series before I go to sleep on Netflix. It has a wonderful movies, and recently I have been watching a movie. Its name I will remember. The Age of Adeline.
Age of Adelaide?
Adeline. Adeline
Adelaide.
is the name of woman in the movie. It was a fantastic movie. I enjoyed it very much. And these days, I have been watching a series It's named Woman at War.
Wow.
It talking about the World War, Second World War. And the series give some example of women play a good role, a good what I can say, made many things to their countries during the war. Like one of them, her husband go to the war and left his factory, and she changed the factory to make an ambulance to the army in France. It focusing on the war between France and Germany.
Wow.
So it is very very fantastic. I like
Wow.
women.
Yeah, it's great that it's great that now there are more films and shows about different types of people.
Yes.
I think
And really, I love, I prefer true stories in movie or series. Usually it has a meaning in it. So every time I'm searching to a series or a movie based on true story.
true story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I really like documentary films. Documentaries. So they show a real thing that happened in life and they talk to those people. It's very interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so sometimes so you know, I think it's good to watch films and TV shows. I like doing this a lot, but at the same time sometimes people watch them too much, right? And so when we do something too much, we have a special word in English, to binge. I've written it in the chat on Zoom for everyone. To binge something. It means to do something too much, basically. And you can, and usually we use it with another word to describe what we're talking about. So if you eat too much food, right? Maybe there's been a day when you were full, you weren't hungry anymore, and you just kept eating and eating and eating and eating. This is to binge eat. Maybe there's a day, like I told you about Squid Game. I watched the first one and then I just could not stop. I binge watched the series. To binge watch means to watch too much, to just not stop watching. And this word is used a lot about when people drink alcohol. To binge drink. It means to drink and drink and you don't stop and it's too much. Great. All right. I see Isane is with us. Hi, Isan.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. I'm fine, thank you. As was I said in the chat, but I don't know if bench to bench, it's come from Arabic word.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's bench. It's like to make anesthesia for someone, and he is like gave or yeah.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. For example, I will watch TV to bench. I will watch series to bench. I think it's like to be not in this world. To yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So have you watched any interesting films or movies or TV shows recently?
No. I am.
What about books? Have you read any books?
Yeah, I read a lot of books in relation with my activities today. For example, I just finished a book, Daniel Goleman, about emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I already read 2 books from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. And yeah, I read books. I can't watch TV. For me, it's waste of time. I have like special relation with the time. So for me, watching TV, it's like I can't do it in these moments. So yeah, I read books.
That's good. That's good. So Tony Robbins, you mentioned the other author who wrote about emotional intelligence. So these are personal development books.
Yeah, because as I am a coach today. So I was engineer in the past, but today I'm coach. So I need to read lots of books in relation with my activities. So yeah, I already read Marshall Rosenberg about nonviolent communication. Yeah. So yeah, all around the personal development.
That's great. And which Tony Robbins books have you read? Let's see. I've read Money Master and I've read Unleash the Power Within.
Yeah, Unlimited Power. I read
Unlimited
it in French.
Power.
Yeah, I read it in French and éveille votre puissance intellectuelle. Yeah, it's in French, so I can't translate it in English because how to be conscious about our power, intellectual power. Yeah, and unlimited power. Yeah.
And this is the type of coaching that you do for people too?
Yeah, but I am NLP practitioner, so I use NLP in my coaching, so to change the behaviors of people. So yeah, I use it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. So right now, I just want to offer, if anyone has questions, maybe not about this topic, any questions about English, if you want to ask them now, we're here. I'm happy to answer. So I'm just going to open up to your questions. Mohammed.
Hi, thank you very much. How are you doing, sir?
Great. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. Just what I would like to ask you is, could you please tell me some movies or series which through which I can improve my English fluence? Some series that are very interesting, maybe especially the historic and documentary one. Those talking about what happened in the past, for such the movies that sister mentioned earlier on the World War II or one. So very some maybe sometimes related to the past, maybe romantic, maybe past war. We may help decades ago, something like that. Maybe on the conflict between two countries, which is already ended. So something. Which kind of movies do you recommend to watch in improvement of fluence? That's what I want to know. And if you can give me a list of some in the chat box, or maybe the names I will trace, I will search just the name of the movie, something like that. It could be better. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. And it's about our topic today. So it's difficult to say exactly one or two or three that would be perfect. That would be good for you. But I can tell you a good way to choose them. So, a lot of times people try to choose TV shows, books, films because of something that they're interested in, but we have to make a difference between entertainment, having fun and watching, and studying. Because if we're going to use the book or the film or TV show to study, to learn English, these are very different things. You want to enjoy it. So yeah, you want it to be interesting. But so the first thing I recommend is, if it's a book, open the book somewhere in the middle and try to read one page. And pay attention to how many words you don't know. Or if it's a film or a TV show, go to the middle and watch for 1 or 2 minutes. And, pay attention to how many words you don't know. Because they have done research, experts have shown that if you will learn the most from a book or a film if you already know 90% of the words. The smallest amount should be 80%. If you know less than 80% of the words, then it's not going to be useful, because you're always going to be thinking about, what does this mean? Or you're going to be stopping too much to look at your dictionary. So 80% is the minimum, and it's better if it's 90%. So you should know 90% of the words. So if there's 1,000 words on, not 1,000 words on one page, if there's 100 words on one page, for example, then you should know 90 of them. There should only be 10 words that you don't know, for example. So this is the first really important thing when you're choosing the film or TV show or book. You want to make sure that and that's a mistake that a lot of people make. They find something, they say, "Oh, I don't understand anything. I'll watch this, and that will help me." No, that won't help. You should already understand almost everything that's happening, and there should be one word here, one phrase there that will help you. That's new, and then you can learn that. Another thing that's different between reading, watching to learn, and reading or watching for fun is, when you watch something for fun, you usually just watch from beginning to end. And when you're watching or reading to learn, you have to stop. You have to pause. You have to put the book down, look in the dictionary. What does that mean? And you should take notes. Okay, there is this word. I wrote it down. It means this. And then you might have to repeat it. You might have to watch 2 minutes and then go back and watch the same 2 minutes again. You might have to read the page in the book and then read the page again. When you're watching or reading for fun, you don't usually do that. But when you're trying to use it to learn the language, you have to do that. Okay, third thing that's important to think about is that usually, because we are adults, we want to watch something that's about the war, about the news, about something adult, right? But it's really useful to watch things that are for kids. It's really useful as an adult to watch programs that are for children, and you will be very surprised by how many words you don't know. Because when people speak to children, they just say some word. I'll give you a good example. For example, I have a daughter, and I've been teaching English for 14 years, but some words that I say to my daughter, I never think about them when I'm teaching English, because I'm speaking to adults. Those words aren't important in this context, right? And so For example, she goes to sleep and she has a special dress for sleeping, right? In English, we call it a nightgown. A gown is a type of dress. I never use the word gown in my language today because I always use the word dress, because gown is kind of old. Or maybe in some special event, like an evening gown, like if you go to a ball or some very special event. But I'm a man, so I never use this word gown, right? But a nightgown is the special kind of dress that a girl might sleep in. But we don't usually say nightgown to children. Instead, I say a nightie. And so when she goes to sleep, I say, okay, put on your nightie. Put on your nightie. And a nightie is a nightgown. It's a special dress that a young girl goes to sleep in. This is one example. So there's just some things that people talk about that you might never hear if we just focus on one part of life, right? Like, also, if we just watch things about war or history, there's a lot of really advanced words that people don't even say in regular conversations. And they say them a lot when you watch those kinds of films or documentaries. Sometimes if I'm reading the news, sometimes I find new words that I don't know, and I have to look them up. And I think I have a big vocabulary. I think, I have a master's degree from university. I've been teaching English for a long time. I'm interested to know a lot of English words, but I find words that I don't know still. And it's because there's special words for special things, and sometimes people use them in writing, but usually people don't use them in speech. So when you watch things for children, they don't usually say all of these super advanced words that people don't really say in speech. So this is another good reason to start with something, maybe not for really young children, but maybe for something that's for school-aged children or teenagers, right? Like it's probably a good idea to start there, because the focus is for native speakers who already have between 2,000 and 5,000 words in their vocabulary, not for adults who graduated from university who have a vocabulary of 20,000 words, right? So it's going to be much easier to learn 5,000 or to repeat 5,000 or to understand what's happening from 5,000 words instead of from 20,000 words. So that's my advice. So I really can't say one specific thing that would be interesting to you and helpful, but I think platforms like Netflix, YouTube, they give us a lot of opportunities to watch these kinds of programs. And so I think follow those three things that I just told you about, and that's the most helpful way to find the thing that's going to be good for you to help you learn. Edson.
Okay, teacher. Thank you for opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I pay attention what teacher was saying about the when you are watching something to learn, and when you are watching another thing to fun. Yes, I would not in point of view for teacher, if learning book, we can improve our English level. Learning book, it is a question, because sometimes I trying to learn books, but I feel like the things that doesn't moving on.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. So I never take a notice. Her teacher explained it now. I'm only reading the word that I didn't get. I pass this word. Sometimes I don't have the real context of the books because there are a lot of words that I don't know.
Mhm.
Yes, but I would like to hear a teacher about your advice, your experience, people that read book to learn English or to expand your vocabulary.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And the other question, I don't know if I can answer the second question.
Let me answer your first question first, and
Okay.
then yeah.
Yes.
So
yes. Let's go.
So yeah, learning from books, to
Mhm.
learn from books,
Mhm.
to learn from something. So I think there's just two things to kind of remember that help to explain why it's difficult to feel progress from watching and reading. So the first thing to remember is that when we're learning a language, that we can separate our learning into two categories. There's two types of skills. There's productive skills, which means you're producing the language, you're making the language. And then there are receptive skills. You're receiving, you're getting the language, right? So listening and reading are receptive skills. This means that you're just putting the language in, you're just getting language. And speaking and writing are productive skills. You're making the language. And so we're practicing different skills when we do these different activities. So that's one thing to remember. And then the second thing to remember is about active and passive knowledge. Because when you put the knowledge into your brain, or when you get some new knowledge, it just sits there. It doesn't do anything by itself, right? And you've probably had this, you probably know this from taking tests or exams at school. You know, a lot of people, right before the exam, you put lots of information into your head because you want to remember it for the exam. But what happens the day after the exam? Someone can ask you, oh, do you know this answer? And you'll be like, oh, I knew it 24 hours ago, but I don't know it now.
Okay, it's okay.
So this is because, you know, it's passive knowledge. It's just sitting. And active knowledge is when you use it and it's like a reflex. It's like a reaction that happens. And so, you know, in English every day, having the chance to speak every day, to make the language every day, this is the point. This is the idea that we want to try to activate the knowledge that we have. And I'm sure any of you who have been, a lot of you have been here for a long time. So you probably feel this thing, like when you first start trying to speak a language, even your mouth, your tongue, it just doesn't work the right way. You go to say the word and it feels like it doesn't come out right. But then after you say the same sentence, the same words 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, then it's just, you're just repeating something that's simple, right? It's, you did it before and you can do it. It's kind of like when you buy new shoes, right? You buy new shoes, and if you wear those shoes the first day, your feet hurt. It feels uncomfortable. But after you wear the shoes 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, then now the shoe is on your foot the right way. And now you can walk, and you can do all of the normal things, and you don't even think about your feet in the shoes. But the first time that you wear them, maybe the second time you wear them, your feet hurt in the shoes. It doesn't feel comfortable. So this is like activating the shoe, activating the knowledge. right? It can't just sit there. You have to wear it. You have to use it.
Yes, teacher, I understand. Yes. Now
Cool.
it's not now it's make sense, because if I only read and do nothing with what I'm reading,
Yeah.
yes, it doesn't work. Doesn't
Mhm.
work. Okay, I understand, teacher. And all question is if the teacher have any experience in learning kids.
Teaching kids.
Learning, teaching kids. Yes, that's the correct. Teaching kids. People saying that the kids learn English easier than adult. Sometimes adult, when are learning, we have to have one base language to compare. Yeah, to compare. So in the beginning, I'm to speak English. I translate the English with my native language in my head before I'm speaking. Yes, but yes, I would like to know something, if the teachers have some experience for teaching kids how it's work. Yes, I would like to know something.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that question too. So I have to start by saying I'm not an expert at teaching kids.
Okay.
This is not in English we say it's not my forte. It's not my strength. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not my strength. It's not my good thing, my forte.
Forte.
But in learning to be a teacher of adults, we often compare children, adults, and so I can say a few things about it. First of all, what is this? Do you know what this is?
Head speak.
These are headphones are like this. But this is, I think you were going to say it the first time.
Mic.
A mic? A microphone?
Microphone, okay.
Uh-huh. Are you thinking about what it is in Portuguese too?
Microphone, no, I'm not thinking. I already know.
You already know.
Yes, microphone, but other thing I'm have to translate my head.
But you already know a word for this thing in Portuguese, right?
But in the Portuguese, we use the same, almost the same words.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the word.
And you already know that.
Yes.
So if you were speaking in Portuguese, then I said, "What is this?" You know.
Yes, yeah, no.
Uh-huh.
Instantly, I would say microphone.
Yeah, but if I talk to a 2-year-old child who knows 100 words, they might see me speak. My daughter probably doesn't know what a microphone is yet.
Okay.
If she walks in and she looks at me, says, "Papa, what are you doing?" What is that? I'm gonna say microphone, and this is the first time that she'll ever hear that word. And so when you learn a second language, you think you already know things in the world. And so you're connecting the new word to an idea that you already know. You have a word in your language that is connected to the idea, and you just learn a new word, but it's connected to the same idea. And the idea is already there.
Okay.
But the child is walking around the world with lots of things that they don't know, lots of things that don't have an idea that represents a thing. And so they're putting the word into their mind for the first time. And it's not like I disagree with the statement, with the sentence that children learn languages better than adults. I don't think that's true.
Yes, I heard this sentence a lot of time, very often.
Right? I hear it from people all the time. People think
Yes.
that it's just like a fact, but it's not. Children learn languages in a very different way because children are walking around the world. There's everything's new. Everything is a new idea, and they don't know how things work yet, and they're very open to that.
Okay.
But adults already have a lot of ideas, and they already think that they know how the world works in many ways. And so you're learning a new way to do the same thing, but children are learning the first way to do that thing. And children don't learn adult vocabulary, and children can't learn abstract concepts. And just think how easy it is for adults to learn a language, because I started this video by talking about past simple and present perfect. You can't teach a child a language that way. You can't say, oh, use past simple. What is past? How do you touch past simple? You can't. So adults can learn languages much more easily this way. Because English has so many Latin and Greek words, when I hear someone speaking Italian or Spanish or Portuguese, it's so much easier for me to say, oh, that word sounds like this word, and so they're probably the same.
Okay.
And it's so much easier for me to say, okay, well, in this language, they don't use this type of grammar. And then I don't only learn one word. I learn thousands of words with one concept, or I learn how to say thousands of sentences with one grammar rule. And a child, it's hard to do that. They are learning one thing at a time. Everyone who's here who speaks with children or has a child, I'm sure that you've seen there are some rules in a language, and children, when they first learn how to speak, they use them the wrong way. Just like someone who's learning a second language. Like, for example, my daughter, she might add S to the end of words where there should not be an S, right? Like one person, two people. But she might say persons. There's 3 persons in my room. She might say that because she's taking the simple rule that she learned from practice, because she doesn't know the abstract idea. She practiced using it with other words, and now she just uses it with other things. And also, my daughter speaks 2 languages. She speaks Russian with mom and English with dad. And sometimes she'll mix the 2 languages. Like, she'll add an S at the end of a Russian word. That's not how you say that there's 2 things in Russian. You can't do that, but she'll just add an S there. Or she'll take half of an English word, like when it was Christmas time, there was the word decoration, something that you put on the tree or in your house to look pretty, decoration. And then she would take the Russian word ukrashenia, and she came up with a new word, ukraration. And and so she will mix the 2. So children are like, it's trial and error. We call this process trial and error.
Okay,
you do it, you try it, you make a mistake. You try it, make a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah. And so children learn in a very different way. That's what I'm saying. And so, for example, she's trying to learn how to read right now. And so it was interesting for me when she learned the letters, she learned the names of the letters, and then she learned the sounds of the letters. And so we're reading a book, and I point at a word, and, well, what is this word? I don't know. Okay, well, what are the letters? D, O, G. Okay, so what's the word? I don't know. Well, what are the sounds? D, D, O, O, G, G. Great. So what's the word? I don't know.
I don't know.
And so, you know, like she learned those pieces, but putting them together, like for an adult, you can understand this abstract idea, like the reason the letters have sounds is so you can put the sounds together to make a word. But that concept is different to teach that to a child. You have to give lots of examples and try it. And so finally, we came to the point where we'll read something and I ask her to read one word. So in the story, she just needs to read one of the words. That's it. Only the word dog. When you see dog, you read. And I'll read the other words and you just read that one word. And so I'll read and stop. She'll say dog. Read, stop, dog. And then we try two words, dog and cat. And the first time we did that, I point at cat and she says dog, because she's not looking at the letters. She just thinks that I want her to say dog. And so then I had to connect. So then I said, oh, but this one isn't dog. See, it starts with a C. It's C-A-T.
Okay.
And then she looked and now when she looks at dog and cat, she looks, does it start with D or does it start with C? And so there's small steps to get to the bigger result, because you can't. So I think for adults, it's so much easier to learn a language because you can learn rules. But children have an advantage learning languages because they don't already have all those other ideas that we have. Because all of those other ideas from the first language, they sometimes block us from learning the ideas of the new language. And sometimes rules sometimes stop us because adults think in a very logical way. We like rules. Everything has to have order. But children think in a magical way. And so something that is not real can be very funny or interesting, or something that breaks the rules or the routine can be funny and interesting. And so it's a different mindset. It's a different, right? So I think that these are important things to remember when you're trying to teach a child a language. And that's why I don't think I'm very good at teaching English to children who speak other languages, because I love rules. I love rules. So yeah, I hope that wasn't too many words.
Okay, I understand.
All right, thanks.
It was useful for me.
Great. Thanks, Edson.
Thanks a lot, teacher.
Okay, Nirvana, you had a question.
I'm having a difficulty to understand how I use apostrophes, because, for example, in the sentence, I don't know my seat number, don't use apostrophe. And Mary's seat is on a different floor. I think in the sentence, Mary's seat is on a different floor. Wouldn't need to have the one S. I think maybe the sentence would be the Mary apostrophe seat without the S, because the next word starts with S. So
Okay.
Mary seat instead Mary's seat.
So good question about apostrophes. There's two answers here. Let's start with the second one, Mary's seat with apostrophe S. So it doesn't matter what the next word starts with. Apostrophe S is how we say that it's of somebody, right? It belongs to somebody. So in no situation is it important that the next word starts with S. That's not a rule. In pronunciation, right, those two S's come together. So it's Mary's seat. But in writing, it will be apostrophe S and then S again for seat. But yeah, in speech, it will sound like the two S's come together like one S. But if someone is speaking very clearly, like you didn't understand them the first time, then they will probably say Mary's seat with a pause in the middle of the two S's. But yeah, just speaking normally, this is Mary's seat. Now, sometimes we use apostrophe without S at the end. There are two situations when that might happen. One situation is when we're talking about more than one person or more than one thing. So for example, if I said, this is the dog's ball, a ball for a dog. It's the dog's ball. How many dogs are there? In speech, we don't know. In speech, we don't know. Because if we put apostrophe before S in writing, if we say D-O-G apostrophe S, this is one dog. But if we say D-O-G-S apostrophe, that's more than one dog. That's the rule of apostrophes of this ownership or belonging to someone. So if it's apostrophe S, it's one. If it's S apostrophe, it's more than one. But in speech, we don't know because they both sound the same. The dog's ball, the dog's ball. It's the same. The second situation when we might have apostrophe without S is with a name that ends with S. So different people choose to write differently. And when a name ends with S, you have two choices. You can say just apostrophe or apostrophe S. So for example, my name, Chris, it ends with the letter S. And so if I write Chris's microphone, I will always say it in speech, Chris's microphone. But in writing, somebody might write apostrophe S. They might write, for example, K-R-I-S apostrophe S, Chris's. Or they might just write K-R-I-S apostrophe with no S. And this is also Chris's. Just different people. It's only about names that end with S. Sometimes people will just put apostrophe because there was already an S before. I think that's confusing. So I usually put apostrophe S all the time. But sometimes it looks strange if the person's name ends with S and then apostrophe S. So okay, so that was the first part. Sorry, that was the second part of your question. The first part of your question was about, your seat number or Mary's seat number, right?
I don't know my seat number.
I don't know my seat number. So
Yeah.
the simple rule is that really the question here is, when do we say of and when do we say apostrophe S? Right? When do we say Mary's seat and when do we say the seat of Mary? Right? When do we say of and when do we say apostrophe S? This is the question. And so the simple rule is that we say apostrophe S for people, for humans. Usually, I mean, this is the simple rule. It works 80% of the time, 90% of the time. For people, you use apostrophe S. If it's not a person, you don't, you can say of. But when we use pronouns, we don't use apostrophe S. Pronouns are like possessive pronouns are like my, your, his, our, her, their. Right? So after these words, we don't usually say apostrophe S. I mean, we can't. That's the rule. So we'd say your seat, not seat of you, and not use feet or something like this, right? Your seat. We have special words for this situation. That's these possessive pronouns. Your already means of you. So that's the simple rule. Sometimes the rule doesn't work. Like, for example, if you're talking about your pet at home, like your dog or your cat, some people feel like it's a person to them. So you might say, that's my dog's seat. You might not say that's the seat of the dog, or the dog's cage, or the dog's bone, or the dog's toy. But that shows that this is the toy of my dog. But in general, what is this thing? It's a dog toy. It's a dog toy. Not it's a toy for dogs or it's a toy of dogs. It's a dog toy. But we're not saying that it belongs to one dog. When we say that, then we can say it's my dog's toy with apostrophe S. Yeah, thank you. All right. Are there any other questions for today? I know we've been going for a very, very long time. Any other questions today before we go? We have a phrase that we like to say in English. We say, speak now or forever hold your peace. It means this is your last chance to speak if you want to say it. Usually people say this at a wedding. At a wedding, when there's a husband and wife, they're getting married at the wedding, and the priest says, does anyone see why these two people should not be together? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yeah, and you can see this funny moment in films. Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. I will see you next time. Have a great day and go speak some English. Bye-bye.